Today we're grilling a kilo of chicken wings in 10 different ways, testing brining, how to increase crispiness and when to coat them in sauce to find the best way to make tender, crispy, flavourful buffalo wings. So first I'm going to break down our wings into drummies and flatties. I'll also cut off the wing tips as these will just burn up. You can cook your wings whole if you like, but I prefer to break them down so everything is done around the same time. I'm also going to pat these dry with some paper towel just to help with the crisping. So first we're going to test if brining wings make them taste better. So I'm going to dry brine these by sprinkling them with a bit of salt and then putting them in the fridge on this wire rack tray. This is going to help draw moisture to the surface where it forms a brine solution that's going to seep back into the wing, give it lots of flavour, and any excess moisture on the surface is going to evaporate, drying out the skin, which will help us get crispy skin. I'm also going to test a wet brine. This is just water and 5% salt. You can change up the liquid to almost anything to add flavour. You can use beer, pickle brine, pineapple juice. But for this test, I intentionally don't want to introduce new flavours. I just want to see if brining at its most basic level works, and if so, is a wet brine better than a dry brine? While we wait for those to brine, we're going to prep our second test, which is whether or not adding flour helps the wings crisp up. So the wing recipe from Anchor Bar, where buffalo wings originate, does use flour, but they deep fry their wings. And flour crisps up beautifully in hot oil, but the effect can be a bit different on the grill. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So we're going to test these wings coated in cornstarch, these ones in plain flour, and see how they compare against our control wings, which are going to have no coating. So I'm just mixing in a little bit of our rub into the flour. This is just salt, pepper, garlic with a bit of sugar and paprika. Just give that a little mix, and then I'm going to sift this over. And lastly, I wanted to see if I could taste the difference between wings that were marinated overnight versus wings that were basted in sauce directly on the grill. So these wings have been chilling in a bar for Frank's for about 12 hours, and these ones I'm going to baste with the sauce directly on the grill. Now, I'm not going to make my own buffalo sauce because this stuff exists and there's no way I'm going to beat it, but I am going to make a blue cheese dip. Now, finding the strongest, moldiest blue cheese is a bit of an obsession of mine, and I haven't found anything better than this stuff. This is Colston Bassett Blue Stilton, and it is absolutely dreamy. If you know of a smellier, more rancid blue cheese, please let me know. So first we're gonna make up a mayonnaise by putting 1/4 cup of light olive oil, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 egg, and a teaspoon of Dijon mustard in a food processor, and we'll blend that until combined. We'll then slowly pour in a cup of olive oil over 1 to 2 minutes, and lastly squeeze in a bit of lemon and let that mix for 5 to 10 seconds. So we've got a nice thick mayo. We're gonna pop 1/4 cup of that into a bowl, add in 1/2 cup of sour cream, a bit more lemon, a pinch of salt and pepper, and most importantly, a ridiculous amount of blue cheese. Let's not mess around. That is a blue cheese dip with an opinion. If you like blue cheese and you like mustard that makes your face hurt, that is absolutely cracking. So I've dried off our brine wings and hit these all with a bit of rub, so our wings are ready to go. We've got our wet brine wings, dry brine, plain flour, corn flour, pre-marinated. These ones will baste on the grill, and these are our control wings. So time to fire up the grill. So I'm using a vortex today, which is going to help our coals get super hot and create an even ring of indirect heat to cook our wings. Our grill's come up to 425 degrees Fahrenheit, so I'm going to pop all the wings on and check back in about 15 minutes. So we're just going to have a quick look. So I'm just going to baste these ones. So first we're going to see whether or not the brined wings taste significantly better than the unbrined wings. Before we do that though, I was looking at my YouTube analytics and I saw that 92% of viewers don't subscribe to the channel. Now I don't know if that's good or bad, but if you did learn something from this experiment or another experiment, please do subscribe to the channel, because the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the experiments get. Okay, so for round one, we're testing whether or not brined chicken tastes better than unbrined chicken. So one of these is a wet brined chicken, one of these is dry brined, and the others are control. I'm not sure which one's which, so see if I can guess which one's which. All right. I'm pretty sure that is brined. Very crispy skin. It tastes like the flavor is beneath the surface, which is what makes me think that it's brined. Let's try this one. Also brined, pretty sure. So at this stage, I'm thinking this is the wet brine and this is dry brine. But let's see, if this has to taste much less flavorful for me to be confident. Control, 100%. These taste much better. I think this one is the best tasting of all three. I think it's the dry brine. Moment of truth, did I get it right? I'm pretty sure this has got to be a control. Yes. See, so this one I thought was the wet brine. Yeah, hey. That's a man that's eaten too much chicken in the last month, which means that's a dry brine. All right, so dry brine is our winner, which is nice because that's probably, other than obviously control, much easier to make a dry brine. We just need to sprinkle salt on the chicken and leave it in the fridge overnight, whereas wet brine's a bit faffy. So I'm pretty glad actually that the dry brine worked. I'm gonna try this. That might be the best thing I've eaten all year. Okay, so in round 2, we're testing whether or not adding cornstarch or flour improves the crispiness. Visually, I can see this one is really crispy. This one's got a good crisp. This one hasn't got a good crisp. So I'm guessing already that these two are going to be the ones that we coat in flour. Let's have a look. Good for crisp. I think this is going to be a bit harder to guess which one is cornstarch and which one's flour. Right, let's try this one. Really crispy. This might be plain flour, and this one corn flour, and I think this might be our control. Let's see. It is crispy, but not in the same way. These, I describe it as saying these two have a thick crisp, whereas this is quite a thin one. Let's see. Yes. Oh no, so that one was the cornstarch, which means this one was the plain flour. So it seems like the cornstarch definitely had the better crisp on it, or at least the thicker crisp than the plain one. Okay, so last we got our marinade test. So one of these was soaked overnight in Frank sauce, one was basted on the grill, and the other is the control, which is almost certainly this one because it's significantly less fluorescent than these two. What I am going to do with this one though is see whether just dipping it in the sauce tastes just as good or better as the ones that are marinated. Now I'm thinking whichever one was marinated overnight should be far more intense. Oh yeah, that's good. Let's see how it compares to this one. Much less. I'm second guessing myself now. This one tastes hotter. I'm actually thinking this might be the one that was basted on the grill, and I think this one might be the overnight marinade. Oh, yeah, get him in there. I mean, that wins. Just to be sure, let's try overnight marinade and then dunked in, because you can't have too much Franks. You can have too much Franks. That is way too much Franks. I prefer the one that wasn't marinated and just dunked in Frank sauce. I think that tastes much better. Yeah, re-marinade and basted. I'm sticking with it. I think the control, not marinated in Franks, but just dipped, slathered in sauce is our winner. So all that's left to do is to stack all of these together. So here we've got a dry brine chicken wing that was coated in cornstarch, and I'm going to dunk it into the Frank sauce. Absolutely amazing. This was such a good experiment for me. So next time you're making wings, I highly recommend dry brining them the night before. You're going to get so much more flavour, and coating them in cornstarch to get crispier skin. Now next up, I recommend watching this video where I make this. This is cherry smoked chicken with a honey butter mop sauce. It is absolutely delicious. But the first time I made it for that video, it didn't quite go to plan, hence why I've had to make it again. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you in the next experiment.